Hi, this is Carol Ray with Notary to Pro, and I have one of my longtime students, Terri Taylor, out of Jacksonville, Florida, with me. And I've asked some people who have given us testimonials or been with us for a long time. I want you to get to know who we are. And even though we have a lot of written testimonials on our website, I think it helps to see people and to listen to us talk, to know who we are, how much we care, and if there's anything that we are able to do for you. So Terri's going to tell us a little bit about her journey in this business, what she does now, and I'm just going to let her go. So Terri, hi.
Thanks, Carol. Good morning. So my journey started in November of 2014. I had lost my job earlier that year and was struggling to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And so after, I was fortunate in that when I lost my job, they gave me a year's salary. So I had living expenses for that year, but it was coming time to decide which direction I wanted to go in. And I had heard about the fact that Florida notaries can perform weddings. And so I thought, oh, that would be fun. I would like to be a wedding officiant. So I became a notary essentially to do weddings. That was my whole point of becoming a notary. Well, I took a certification course as a life cycle celebrant. Celebrants celebrate events such as weddings. And that course was going to take a year. And I thought, well, shoot, I've got this notary commission. I might as well do something with it over the next year while I'm taking this course. And I got an email about being a loan signing agent, and I thought that sounds interesting. And I went off to a local class, which cost me a lot of money, and I learned nothing. But I got a certificate, so I put out there on some of the websites that I was certified, and I got a few closings. But from January until I want to say April or May, I only had 8 closings. So 8 closings in 4 months. And one of those really wasn't even a closing. It was a one-page document that I notarized on the hood of a truck for a gentleman who found me through a signing service. And so I thought, well, maybe this isn't for me. I'll just continue on with my wedding certification course. And I went back to the corporate world. And for 3 months, I went back as a practice administrator for a physician. And it was absolutely miserable. And I kept thinking about notary signing agents and what I could do with my notary. And after 3 months, I left that doctor and thought, I'm going to go back with this with a new vengeance. I'm going to put all my energy and effort into becoming a notary signing agent. And that was in August of 2015. And I did some research and I found Notary to Pro. And so I read some of the forums and some of the information, and people seemed to like Notary to Pro, and there were some good reviews of Notary to Pro. And I called and spoke with your daughter, Barbara, and we talked about Notary to Pro and what you had to offer. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do the Notary to Pro certification. That was in late August of 2015. I sent out my certification certificate to lots of companies, most of the ones that you had given us, Carol, as one of the perks of being a Notary to Pro grad is that wonderful list of your clients who like your grads. And my first full month in September, I had 12 closings. So I went from doing 8 in 4 months to doing 12 in 1 month. Like, whoa! And in October, I did 15. And in November, I did 18. And then I did go ahead and do the NNA certification, just full disclosure here, because I had run into a couple of major title companies such as Fidelity who require NNA. It wasn't that they didn't like Notary to Pro, they just require NNA. So I did the NNA. And between Notary to Pro and NNA, my business has just soared, taken off, done really well. And I always tell people that I can attribute the Notary to Pro training with helping me to pass the NNA certification my first time out. There are so many notaries who say, I can't pass it, I can't pass it, I can't pass it. And I did first time, and I'm not a genius. I just had excellent training from Carol Ray and Notary to Pro. Meantime, I got my wedding celebrant certification, and I started to do that as well. But really, the notary signing agent business is the bulk of my business. I mean, I can do signings every day of the week, and weddings, for the most part, happen on the weekends. But I do 2 to 3 weddings a month and 30 to 40 closings a month, which is where I want to be. I'm not one of those notaries that want to do 6, 8, 10 a day. I'm not trying to set a new world record. I'm too old for setting the world record. If I can do 3 to 4 a day, I'm very happy. I average probably 2 to 3 a day. and that's fine for me. I don't want that extra stress after 30 years as a practice administrator and working a very high stress job. I don't want that. I don't want to put that kind of stress on me. I always allocate an hour for each closing, an hour and a half to two if it's a reverse mortgage. Um, I've got a feel for it now as to how long it will take me. And again, not looking to do everything in 30 minutes and get off right to the next one. I always plan 2 to 3 hours in between. And those were some of the tips I think you taught me early on too, is, find your niche, find what works for you, but make sure you have enough time so that your clients don't feel rushed and that you don't feel rushed. Because if you're rushed, you make mistakes. And the tips you gave, such as sitting at the table and reviewing the package at least once, if not twice, before leaving, and reviewing it a third time before mailing it off, I do that. I have a very almost zero error rate. Can't say I'm perfect. Occasionally there's something that slips through, but I do a really good job in making sure as much as I can that everything is complete before I send it off. So Carol, I think you're the best. I recommend Notary to Pro to any new notary that contacts me and wants help. In fact, I just sent you a gentleman not too long ago. I had done his closing. He was a real estate agent. Talked to me about the fact that he wanted to retire out of real estate and look for a retirement career, and I referred him to you, and he texted me not too long ago and said, I took Carol's course. It was excellent. So I'm always happy to send referrals your way.
Well, thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I have one question to ask you.
Sure.
And of course, we've known you, it's been a long time now. We enjoy every time we get a chance to talk with you. What is the one thing that you enjoy the most about doing signings?
Wow, there's just so much to pick one. I really enjoy meeting people and helping them through this process. There are so many of them that are so nervous about doing this, especially on the reverse mortgages, the elderly people. It sounds funny for me to see that because technically I'm classified as elderly. But when I'm dealing with people in their 80s and they're doing a reverse mortgage and they don't understand, I like just the ability to be able to help them through it and reassure them that this is not going to be a difficult process, that we're going to get through all the paperwork. So I think meeting people and helping them, that's what I believe a notary is, what we are supposed to do as a notary. We're not just signing agents. That's the aftermath of being a notary. The notary's first responsibility is to be a public servant and to help people with their documents that need them to sign and be notarized, and helping them to explain the process and what a notary can and can't do, but help them through that process. That's where the notary job really is doing that general notary work and helping them through that process and being a public servant. The signing agent is just something that has come out of that, and I just carry that thought process with me. I'm here to help them through a process and to make their life.
I love that kind of thinking, and a lot of people forget the fact that we are public servants and that we have a responsibility. And of course, the basic responsibility that we have is preventing fraud by identifying people, properly identifying. The real perk is being able to help them through a very difficult process. For most people, what they have is their home. That's it. And when they're doing, these financial transactions on their home, it's their wreck.
You're dealing with their largest financial investment. You've got to know what you're doing. And along those lines of knowing what you're doing, I would just like to share another story if I could. I don't know if you put this up, but recently I did a reverse mortgage. I had been called to do one, and they gave it to another notary for less money than what I had requested. And they called me about almost a week later to say, hey, that signing is taking place and we'd like you to do it. We've got your fee approved. And when I called the borrower to confirm, I said, please plan on an hour and a half to 2 hours. So reverse mortgages take a little bit longer than a standard loan closing. And he said, that's all it's going to take you? The gentleman who was here 2 days ago took 5.5 hours. And I said, excuse me, somebody was there 2 days ago? He said, yes, and we have to redo this loan. And I said, it took him 5.5 hours? Yes, it did. I said, sir, I assure you, it will not take me more than 2, and we can probably get it done in an hour and a half, depending on how comfortable you are. It turned out they had a notary who drove an hour each way to get to them, took them 5.5 hours, and I had to completely redo the package. He never put them under oath. He didn't get 2 IDs for the Patriot Act, even though it clearly stated 2 forms of ID must be used. He didn't do on the signature name variation all the signatures for all the name variations. He just had them sign on top. And that's only three that come to mind. There were other errors within the package. Not only did we finish in less than 2 hours, we finished in an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow.
This couple was so nervous about having to spend another 5.5 hours doing this closing. They were in their late 80s, but very sharp, very with it. Had beautiful home. This was a large reverse mortgage closing. These were well-off people. But they were still not looking forward to another 5.5 hours. And he got on his phone with his loan officer after the fact and said, "This is the person you should have sent me in the first place. I know I was really mad at you the other day. Carol, you taught me how to do a reverse mortgage. I took your reverse mortgage course." So
thank you very much.
oh, thank you.
And I have to say, this example is exactly why, after retiring as an escrow manager, doing this job as a signing agent for 14 years, I decided to put this course together because I saw this happening everywhere. All of these mistakes, all of these things that are causing people harm. So that was a great example. But
She knew the name of that notary's name, so I could say to him, "You really need to take the Notary to Pro course." So,
okay, well, thank you so much, Terri. I really appreciate it. And you have a great day. And I'm going to stop the recording on this, and then I'll be posting it. So I'm going to say goodbye for now and
bye.
stop the recording.